Welcome to the Ports and Shipping News from Visakhapatnam. 2025 Outlook for the Global Container Terminal Operators Industry. Key highlights include the following. There was robust normalized growth in container volumes driven by consumer demand in 2024, despite geopolitical challenges. Reorganization of shipping alliances this year could affect ports differentially. Transshipment hubs and smaller ports may be more affected with changes in the shipping company's route strategies. Trade tariffs expected to be imposed by the U.S. are likely to dampen overall volumes and favor exporting ports outside of China. Geopolitical risks continue to affect smaller ports on key trade routes, and labor issues are causing volume shifts between the U.S. coasts. Credit ratings in the sector remain stable and supported by fundamental factors such as the strength of the service areas, competitive positioning of terminals, long-term concession agreements, and demand for essential goods. Global container volume growth to be dampened by the trade tariffs the U.S. is expected to impose in the coming months, as well as by increased geopolitical risks in the Middle East and Asia. And expect the reorganization of major shipping alliances to provide better scheduling and reliability for shippers. It could also cause a differential impact on certain ports based on shipping lines' routing strategies. And can expect importing ports with strong hinterland demand and critical exporting ports to be resilient, while we expect ports dependent on transshipment volumes and near geopolitically sensitive areas to be more susceptible. Robust normalized growth driven by consumer demand. In 2023, container volumes in major North American ports were at their lowest levels since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2024, container terminal volumes showed strong growth despite geopolitical challenges. Unlike the growth during the pandemic, we consider this growth to be driven by long-term fundamentals. Global container terminal volumes in the first 11 months of 2024 were 5.3% higher as compared with the corresponding period in the previous year, as reported by Container Statistics. Imports into North America and Europe from Asia were robust, driven by increasing demand for consumer goods. Mexico is also becoming more important in the supply chain given the trend in nearshoring and its proximity to the United States. Goods from the port of Lázaro Cárdenas and the port of Manzanillo, key ports on Mexico's western coast, get transported to the U.S. West Coast via sea. Shipping alliance reorganization expected to affect transshipment-focused and smaller ports. Shipping alliances are undergoing a change in 2025. The 2M Alliance, a partnership between MSC and Maersk, the two largest shipping companies, will be dissolved in 2025. Maersk will be part of the Gemini Alliance starting in February 2025, along with Hapag-Lloyd, while MSC will operate independently. The partnership known as the Alliance will be disbanded, and Hum and Yang Ming will operate as the Premier Alliance. The Ocean Alliance's composition remains unchanged and continues into 2032. While the new shipping alliances are targeted to increase schedule reliability and improve efficiency, which is beneficial for shippers, it could also result in a rebalancing of volumes across alternate ports. The Gemini Alliance, for instance, will have a hub-and-spoke model where larger ports act as main transshipment hubs, such ports to see an increase in volumes. Maersk has announced plans to shift its UK operations away from the port of Felixstowe in Suffolk, a key container gateway in the UK. MSC has announced an independent east-west trade network with 34 loops across 5 key trade lanes starting Indiana February 2025, offering services via the Suez Canal as well as the Cape of Good Hope and including additional ports of call. Ports that have volumes driven by strong hinterland demand could be positively affected, with shippers expected to prioritize these ports and alternate shippers still available to replace lost volumes, if any. Ports that are transshipment hubs are more exposed to the reorganization in shipping alliances and new strategies. Trade tariffs likely to dampen overall volumes and favor exporting ports outside of China. Geopolitical risks continue to affect smaller ports on key trade routes. Houthi attacks continue to negatively affect volumes in the Suez Canal and are causing ships to reroute via the Cape of Good Hope. Volumes in October 2024 were less than half the volumes in the same period the previous year. Eastern Mediterranean ports, including the port of Piraeus, have experienced a 33% decline in deep-sea port calls. Labor issues causing intercontinental volume shifts. Labor issues have affected the sector over the last few years, particularly in North America. The International Longshoremen's Association's ILA three-day strike in October 2024 affected the United States East and Gulf coasts and resulted in some shippers diverting traffic from the United States East and Gulf coasts to its west coast, which also increases congestion at the receiving terminals. The strike was partially resolved at the time with a tentative agreement involving a 62% wage increase over 6 years. The ILA and its employers reached another tentative agreement in January 2025 on a new 6-year contract, resolving issues around automation and averting any additional work stoppage. Thanks for watching.